Hi all, welcome to ESI Cloud Trainings. My name is Shalini Nerilla. Let's get started with Boomi Atom Sphere Basic Training Day 7 session. Now today's session we'll see how to connect to cloud application as well as local application. So here we'll be referring Salesforce as a cloud application and we'll see how to connect to Salesforce via Boomi and we'll do a simple integration to retrieve data out of Salesforce. Right? We'll then install MySQL server and client in our system and we'll try to connect to MySQL using Boomi and we'll try to retrieve data out of it. Right? So let's get started. So what is Salesforce? Salesforce is an online web-based CRM application accessible from salesforce.com. So you just go to your browser and you'll say salesforce.com. So again here you don't have to install any softwares on your system. It is completely available online. So when you said Salesforce is a CRM application, so what is the CRM? CRM is customer relationship management. It is a strategy for managing a company's interactions with clients and sales prospects and ensuring that the relationship sustains for a long time. So what is the purpose of the CRM applications? It is for retaining their existing clients and to energize dormant accounts or clients, also to find their new clients. So this salesforce.com helps companies to manage its sales. It helps companies to manage marketing related aspects, and also it helps companies to service those customers who they are already engaged with. Right. So here this is how salesforce.com looks like, and we have 30 can register for it. I already have a trial account created, so I'll now just log in. So this is how the UI looks like. So this is the lightning experience, the advanced version. If you want to go to the classic version, you can also say switch to Salesforce Classic here. Right. So Salesforce can be very much compared to database. So in database we have tables and fields and relationship between tables, etc. Right. So similarly we have objects here. So tables there are called objects here. So we have accounts object, contacts objects, opportunities, etc. So you also can customize your UI, and in real time clients create their own custom objects according to their requirement. Also there can be relationship between these objects. So accounts is a parent object where you have contacts, opportunities, all these as child objects to account. Right. So if you want now click on accounts, see here these are recently viewed. You can also say all accounts. So now we have 3 accounts available here. So if I click on one, see here it gives the complete details about that account. So related contacts. So these are the contacts. So as I told, account is the parent object, and in accounts we have contacts as the child object. So under contacts we have 3 child opportunities. So all these are child objects under account. And if you go to details here, you'll be able to see more details about the particular account. So account summary, the billing address, shipping address, etc. So created by, last modified by. So all this information you'll be able to see. Right. So now what we'll do, we'll try to connect to the Salesforce account through Boomi, and we'll try to retrieve all these 3 accounts that are already present. Right. So now I'll go to Boomi Atom Sphere. Right. So here I'll create the folder day 7. So here I'll go and create a folder. So say new folder day 7. So day 6 is all about the read part, and so we have not created day 6 folder. So now we'll say day 7 and we'll create a new component. So I'll say Salesforce Retrieval. Salesforce data retrieval. So we have created a process with this, and we'll say no data. Start. So also you can in the start shape itself connect to the connector. Okay. So now I will drag Salesforce connected. So see here Salesforce. So we also have Salesforce Analytics, Salesforce Platform Events, other connectors as well. So for now, we are selecting Salesforce, and you'll see get and send actions and connection. So if I open connection here, the URL comes by default, and here you'll be providing username password. So I'll be providing charlie.n, then password. So you see here the maximum concurrent connections. So the default maximum concurrent connections are 10, but we can set up to 25, right? So that is about the connection and operation. So this is the operation, and observe here. If I now try to import, I'm trying to import the objects. So select the connection, say next. So observe here, it says error attempting to browse Salesforce operation, error executing login, error message received from web service. So login must use security token, right? So what Boomi does here is it gives extra authentication to Salesforce. So now, apart from username and password, we have something called security token. So if you go here under settings, so go to settings here, you'll be able to see something called reset my security token, right? So when I say reset security token here, see here we have sent a new security token to the email address. So let me open that. So this is the security token. So now what we have to do is how we authenticate Boomi with Salesforce is that you have to give your password appended with the security token. So password followed by security token. So I'll have this copied. I'll go to Boomi here, go to the connection. So here near password, give the password which you have given for login, and then append it with the security token copied. Right? So this is done. Now save and close. I will go to operation now. Under operation, now you say import. Select connection and say next. So see here, now it will list out all the objects that are available. So these are the different objects that are available. In real time, you will be having custom objects as well. So the client will create the objects based on the requirement, and they'll be giving you the clear information which object to be selected, etc. So now I'll be selecting account here. And because this is a get action, you'll be having action only as query. Okay. And say next. So this will take a while to build the object tree. So see here, it gives you the child objects and the parent objects, right? So the client will be providing you which child object to be select, etc. And for now, I don't need any child object, so I'll say next and finish. Right? So this operation will be populated for you. So the object, account, action, query, the response profile will be created for you. So from what you have imported, the structure will be created. So you'll see the response profile here. See here, this is the response profile. You'll be getting data with this format, right? and use bulk API. So this option is enabled for query, create, update, insert, and delete. So the bulk API reduces the number of API calls you need to make. It uses the Salesforce bulk API, which is an asynchronous API for loading large data sets into Salesforce. The bulk API can have up to 10,000 objects in a single call compared to the regular API call, which can have only up to 200 objects. Clear? So also query limit -1. So when you say -1, all the records will be coming up. But if you want only 10, the first 10 records to be there. So if you want to limit the number of accounts that are returning, so you can give them here. When you say 10, only the top 10 accounts will be coming up. And you'll see here SOQL. So when I say SOQL, see here, you'll be able to see the query that has been created out from what we have selected, right? So this depends upon the objects you're selecting, the fields you're selecting. Say now I have given only ID, name, type, billing street, shipping street, industry, phone, last modified date. So only these I've selected. Okay. So now you'll see that your query language has been modified. The query has been modified. So the SOQL stands for Salesforce Object Query Language, right? So this will be populated, and also you'll be able to see filters here. You can apply the filters based on what condition you want to retrieve data. So you can say add expression. So you can add the expression here. So say you want to retrieve all those records, those are modified recently. So you can select last modified date here. So see here you have the field called last modified date. Only those will be coming up. So we'll see them all in detail. So let me delete this expression as of now. And if you see here sorts, so you can also provide on which field you want to sort the data. So you can give here sort field, right? And you have advanced tab here. See here. So when you said use custom SOQL, so you can send the data here. You can send the query language directly instead of creating that from selecting fields here. You can use custom SOQL. So it says here this operation already has an object configuration with fields, filters, and sorts created by an import. If you set this operation to use custom SOQL, you will remove the configuration. Are you sure you want to continue? So when you say yes, all the configuration will be lost. And for custom SOQL, you will be able to send the data through a message shape or external source. Right? So in real time, if you have a very huge data, a huge query that is provided to you by the client, so you want to send it directly to the operation. In that case, you can say use custom SOQL. Right? So I'll say yes. And when you say this include deleted, all this will be disabled. So now what include deleted does? If it is on, it returns all the deleted records in all results. Right? And batch results combines results into a single list documents. The connector combines results by adding an element above the top level of incoming documents to proceed manually, edit or create new profiles. And what log SOQL does is, if it is on, the full SOQL appears in the process logs after the process is executed. The SOQL includes both SOQL and input parameters for debugging. So if this is off, SOQL doesn't appear in the process logs. Clear? So this is how it works. So let me import this again. I'll select account, query, say next. So say next again, finish. Now save and close. You can search for your operation here. Salesforce connector operation and say stop. So this being the cloud application, I can also execute this from the test atom cloud or any cloud atoms, also through the local atoms as well. So now I have test atom cloud. We'll try executing using test atom cloud. So what is expected here? You'll have to see 3 account fields. So this is executed. Now if you see here, stop shape and see here you got 3 documents. So see here, name Acme is one. For the second one, this is global media. And third one, salesforce.com. So all 3. So you'll be able to see all 3 here. So see here, Acme, global media, salesforce.com. So all 3 have populated. So now what we'll do is, in operation we have talked about batch results, right? So we'll see that now. So let's check batch results and let's execute this. So batch results combines results into a single list documents. So the connector combines results by adding an element about the top level of incoming document. So now we'll see that. So here this is executed. Now if you see, earlier we've got 3 documents, but now we'll get one single document and you'll see account list appended on top. Account list, and under account list you'll have 3 accounts. Right? So this combines results into a single list document. And again, if you see the logs here, see you will not be able to see any SOQL populated here, correct? But now if I go to operations back and under advanced, I have something called log SOQL. So what this does, if I execute this now, so you'll be able to see under logs here executing SOQL. So you'll be able to see the SOQL here. So if there are any filters and if you're passing parameters, it also shows you the parameters that are going in. So that will be easy for your debugging, right? So this is how it helps with the operation. And now we'll try passing a parameter. So now say we are getting 3 documents, right? Now in real time, say you've got a scenario, you'll have to send only those that are modified. Say you have executed a run yesterday, and in today's run, I need to get only those records that are modified since yesterday. So if this is the requirement, what am I going to do? So let's replicate that scenario here. Say now for Acme, I've done some change. So I've just edited this. So I'll just say edit here, edit. So from type prospect, I'll say customer. I have made this change. So this is modified. So what happens here, you'll be seeing something called last modified date. So see here, last modified date, you'll be able to see that this has been modified. The last modified date is updated and created by is on 16th, correct? So now what we'll do, Now if I execute the process, I need to get only Acme because this is only one account that has been modified. So now what am I going to do for that? So I'll go to operation and I'll go to filters here. I'll add a expression. Add expression. I'll say last modified date greater than or equal to. So I'll select the field last modified date. Right? So like that, I can also create logical groups. I can insert expressions. I can create logical subgroup, delete that group. Right? So now I have created this expression. And here under parameters, I need to pass information for this. So I'll select last modified date and I'll say you'll be having date or time here. And I'll say current date. So here current date, which means today's date, and relative date, last run date, last successful run date. You can give any of these. So out of from last successful run date as well you can provide. And so I'll go for relative date. So I'll say relative to current date -1. So all those that are modified since yesterday. If you say 5 days, since last 5 days. So like this you can give relative date. And you need to provide the date mask. Right? So this is done. We'll now execute this. So now if I see here, I'll be able to see only that one particular record that has been modified. So this is under accounts list. So this has not retrieved. So we have done something wrong here. For parameters list, relative date -1. And if I go into operation, the filters. So okay, so here this have to be greater than or equal to, right? So I need to modify that greater than or equal to. Now if I execute this, so this is done. Now if I see the data here, I'll be able to see Acme. So only one record that has been modified has. So now we'll see how to work with custom SOQL. So custom SOQL allows you to create advanced and complex queries and insert the custom SOQL into Salesforce Connector's GET operations. By using custom SOQL, you can increase the performance and efficiency of your queries and extend the AtomSphere SOQL builder by using operations such as like and count, etc. The maximum number of characters allowed in SOQL are 20,000. Right? We also have limits, SOQL limits, so you can just go through the user guide and you'll get to know more about it. Right? So now I'll create a new process. Let me create a new process. I'll say new component, Salesforce data retrieval underscore custom SOQL. Say create. So now again I'll use no data in my start shape. Salesforce connector. So connection, reuse the same connection that we have created earlier. Remember, don't go and create a new one. And operation, specify custom SOQL underscore Salesforce. So now if you go to advanced tab here, you'll see something called use custom SOQL. So check this and you'll get this pop up and you can say just yes and say log SOQL. So now if you go to options here, you'll see that the action is query by custom SOQL. So now how am I going to send the SOQL to this connector? So you can use a message shape. So use a message shape here and copy the query. So remember the query, here you should be having one in parenthesis. So if you want to send a parameter, you need to have it like this. Then send the date. This is done. And use stop shape. Right? So now let's execute this. So this is done. If I now see the output, I'll get the latest record that has been modified. That is Acme. Right? So this is how it works, custom SOQL. So with this, we have covered all the options in Salesforce query action. So with this, we have seen all of them in advanced tab, custom SOQL. So when you say include deleted, all those deleted records also will be coming up. Batch results we have seen, and log SOQL as well we have seen, right? So now what we'll do, we'll go and install database. Okay. So now this is my, so you can download, these are open source, you can go and download from Google. So I'll now execute this. Say next. So you can select the feature setup type. So I'll say typical, install. So next, so you can just go and click next. To the port. So here you can give your root password. Say next and execute. So this will take a while. So finish. So now I'll install Workbench. So this is a client for the MySQL server. So this is done. So the MySQL Workbench has been opened. Now I can just log in into this. So just give the password which you've given during installation. Say okay. Right. So now you'll be able to see here the table. So you can go and create a table here. So table employees, give the structure e number, int, e name, varchar of 10, and company varchar of 10. So see here it has created the table. Right. So see it has created the table and columns. Now what we'll do, we'll try inserting data into this. So we'll now try inserting values. Insert into employees values 100 comma ABC company ESI. This is done, and 200 DF, 300 PQR. So see here all are created. Now select star from employees. So see here all these three records we have now. So we'll now try retrieving these three from Boomi. Okay, so let's go to platform. So I'll create one more process here saying database retrieval. Database retrieval. So now again here I'll select no data in my start shape, and I'll now retrieve database. So in database action get connection, we'll have to create one connection here. So see here the different driver types we have. SOQL Server, Oracle, MySQL, and also custom driver type also you can select. And the client will be providing you all the required details to you. Right. So now I'll go and select MySQL here, and username root. So host, it is local host, port 3306, database name is test. Now you have something called test connection here, so you can directly test your connection from here itself. Okay, test. So here remember that your database is installed in your system, in your local system. So now you can't reach this through cloud atoms, you have to have your local atom. So you need to use local atom. So see here what it says, unable to open database connection, unable to instantiate driver class. So now we'll have to install this driver. So we need to place the driver in the atom directory and restart it. So here see here, this is a jar file for MySQL. So I'll copy this. I'll go to C drive, Boomi atom sphere, this one, and I'll go to lib folder here and I'll paste it here. Right. I'll paste it here. So once after you place it here, you have to restart your atom. Right. So you can restart your atom now. So I'll go to services. You can restart either going to services or from atom management, you can restart it as well. So I'll go to Atom here and say restart the service. Right, so this is done. Now if I go and say test connection here, so see here, test connection successful. So this is done. Now, so now let's discuss more about the connection. The different driver types available are SQL Server JTDS, which is formerly called MS SQL, Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server Microsoft, and custom. So if you want to use any other type of database other than this, then you'll go with custom. And remember that the jar file, the related jar file have to be installed in the Atom as we have now done for MySQL. So if it's only for MySQL, you'll install the jar file. For Oracle or SQL Server, it is available by default. So you'll have to install in Atom installation directory, user lib, database, and then the jar file have to be pasted there, right? So though we have now installed in lib folder, it is the best practice to install in to place a jar file in Atom installation directory, user lib, create the user lib folder and database. In database, place the jar file, right? And then you'll provide the username, password, host, localhost, port. So by default for MySQL it is 3306 and for Oracle it is 1521. For MS SQL it is 1433. Right? So like that you can give the default ports, database name, and additional options if there are any, then you'll have to provide them here. So for example, for MS SQL you'll have this instance equal to MS SQL 2008. So this kind of additional options have to be provided. So if there are any additional options, you can provide them here. And the class name, this shows the fully qualified Java class name of the JDBC driver. And now, and this comes by default. But if you are using custom, in that case, you need to provide the class name. You'll have to provide the class name here, right? And so let's go to MySQL. And there, now if you see, there are advanced options here. So in advanced options, we have write SQL to file. So which means, say now we wanted to see what query is going to the database. You want to debug more on it. In that case, if you check this checkbox and if you give the path here, so for example, C drive, desktop, and then if you give the say query.txt, if you give something like this, the query will go into this particular file and you can debug more on that. So remember, if you are checking this option, you are actually not writing into the database. If you want to write to the database, you have to uncheck this and then execute your process, right? And this is mostly used for send option. This is used for send option and not for get option. Okay, and then let's remove this. So then connection pool. So if you want to increase the performance of your database, then we go with connection pool. You can say enable pooling and you can make the required changes here. A connection pool is identified by the connection components ID and its connection settings. The combination allow you to configure one component to talk to different databases. For example, you can set up one process extensions for connection settings so that one component can operate in separate connection pools. And when you change a connection's primary settings on the connections tab, such as user or password, a new connection pool is created when the connection is redeployed. This allows existing pools that are used by the deployed processes to continue to operate without interruption. Right? And when you change a connection secondary settings on the connection pool tab, such as your maximum or minimum connections, the existing connection pool is updated the first time the new version of the connection is requested. right? Every 30 minutes, AtomSphere monitors all connection pools used by the connector to reclaim unused connections and to restart extra connections needed to satisfy the minimum connection settings. When a connection pool has not been used in 6 hours and it is and if it has no active connections, then it is considered a dead or surplus connection, right? There are several ways you can change your pool settings. To override the connection pool settings, change your connection settings and restart your atom, right? To make changes immediately, change your connection settings and redeploy your process. To make changes without restarting your atom, for example in extensions, make the changes. Then leave the connection unused for 30 minutes in a Boomi process. The ideal timeout generates a fresh connection pool for the next time your process runs. Right? Most integrations do not require the connection pooling. Consider pooling if you use low latency to speed up processes or if you execute a large number of statements during an integration, such as SQL lookup map functions with thousands of records that is integrated with Oracle database. Right? So this defines the maximum connections -1 or 0 for unlimited can be used, and minimum connections, you can specify the number of minimum connections you require. You can define the maximum ideal timeout, and when exhausted action, so when it reaches the maximum connections, you can either select wait for a new connection to be free from the pool, or it should immediately fail. So you can select option, and you can also select the maximum wait time. So if you say here, if you select wait for connection, if you select wait for connection, then you can define maximum wait time as well, right? And here you will also have connection verification. So here you have test connection when borrowing from pool. So if this is on, AtomSphere verifies that the connection is still valid when it is taking from the pool. And test connection when returning from pool. So if this is on, AtomSphere verifies that the connection is still valid when adding it back to the pool. Right? And test ideal connections. So if this is on, AtomSphere verifies every 5 minutes that the ideal connection are still valid. And validation query as well, you can give, enter a simple SQL statement that returns a single row of data to determine if the connection is valid. Like this you can provide your connection verifications, right? So this is about the database connection. So we can once again test it. Successful. So this is done. Now we are done with the connection and we are able to see that it is connected. Now we'll go and create the operation, right? So here in the operation, I'll try to create the profile. So here you'll see that in get action, you'll be having select and stored procedure read. So with stored procedure read, you can give the procedure name here. Okay. And when you say select here, you can give the SQL script. You can either write it down here like this, or you can import from database. Right. So here I'll go and select my atom, the connection which we've created, and say next. So schema filter, object filter are additional filters which you can provide if required. And I'll say next. So this you'll be getting sometimes. Just go here, say next again, and you'll be able to see the tables. So employees, I can select it. So you'll be able to see the fields. So based on the required fields, you can select them and say next. So see now, it has created the script for you, and in fields you'll be able to see company, e-name, e-number has been provided. Right, parameters, if there are any, you'll be getting them here. So we'll see that even. So company, you'll see here mandatory. If it is mandatory, you can check this, and data type of it can be provided here. And under options tab, execution type is read or write. You can select one among them. Right. So this is done. I'll just name this as employees database profile. Right. So here you'll be able to see the grouping options: link element, batch count, maximum rows. So link element, the common field in a record group to batch documents. The database operation can split or group data so that rows containing the same value are grouped together into the same document. For link element to function properly, order the incoming data queried from database within an order by clause in the SQL statement. And coming to batch count, sets or define an interval for the grouping behavior. Sets the number of records to appear in each document. When processing large result cells, use batch count and link element. This increases the efficiency through process shapes and maps. Right? And max rows, the maximum number of rows to return in a single read request. So by default it is 0, which means no limit. It returns all of them. Right? So now if I say save and close, and I'll execute this. I'll place a stop shape and execute. So see here, test atom cloud will not work. So I have to choose my local atom. So this is done. Now if I see the data coming, I'll be able to see. See here, I'll be getting them. ESI ABC 100, ESI DF 200, and ESI PQR 300. So all data coming in single document, right? So now if I go to operation here and if I say batch count to 1, we'll now see what happens. Right? So this is like grouping the records. So now we'll see how it works here. So now if I see here, I will get each record in one document. Earlier there was only one document with all 3 records in it, but here now you'll be getting this ESI ABC 100. And in the second one you'll be seeing employee ID 200. And third, employee ID 300. So like this you'll get the data in different documents. The data is split into different documents when you say batch count as 1, right? Now say I want only one record out from here. So in operation I want only one record out. So I can just give here the where condition, where e number equal to. So I'll just give question mark here. Okay. So when I say question mark here, we need to pass the parameters for it. Click on OK and I'll add a parameter here. So add parameter and you can say that as parameter name enum, data type. So all these values can be provided. So now I can pass the value here, the parameters. Select enum and now I want only 100. I execute this now. So see now, this is executed. I'm getting only one document, that is with 100. So this is how we can pass parameter in a database connect operation. So this is done. We'll now go to the slides. Right. So as we have seen, an online web-based CRM application accessible from salesforce.com captures and organizes communication and information from current or prospective customers for many departments across a company. Maximum number of concurrent connections to Salesforce application can be set up to 25 and default is 10. And Salesforce Get, we have seen this. So use bulk API. We have seen this reduces the number of API calls you need to make. It uses the Salesforce bulk API, which is an asynchronous API for loading larger data sets into Salesforce. The bulk API can have up to 10,000 objects in a single call when compared to regular API, which can have up to 200 objects. And then include deleted. So if on, returns deleted records in all results. Batch results combines results into a single list document. The connector combines results by adding an element above the top level of incoming document to proceed manually, edit or create a new profile. And log SOQL, if on, the full SOQL appears in the process log after the process is executed. The SOQL includes both the SOQL and input parameters for debugging. Right? If off, does not appear in the process log. And whereas coming to database get, we have seen link element, the common field in a record group to batch documents. The database operation can split or group data so that rows containing the same document value are grouped together into the same document. For the link element to function properly, order the incoming data queried from database with an order by clause in the SQL statement. And batch count sets or defines an interval for the grouping behavior. Sets the number of records to appear in each document. When processing larger result sets, use batch count and link element. This increases the efficiency through process shapes and maps. Example, 10,000 batch count can be 5,000 to read smaller groups. And max rows, the maximum number of rows to return in a single read request. By default, it is 0, which means no limit. So that's the end of our day 7 session. If you have any queries, please let us know. Thank you.